What is up, everybody? Scott Brio back again with another tutorial. Today I want to just show you all how I edit really long DJ mixes. And this is important because, I work at a nightclub and we frequently record the whole night. So it's a 7-hour long file from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. Basically, we have our opener, which is the first DJ set. It's about an hour. We have the direct support, which is the second DJ. That lasts for about an hour. And then we have the headliner, of course. And the headliner plays usually for about 4 hours. So that being said, what I do is I will hit record at the beginning of the night. And then once I see the first DJ go off, I hit stop, I hit record again. There's a little break in the audio file. And then I do that for the second DJ, and then I do that for the third DJ, which is the headliner. And then I just let that run. And at the end of the night, I hit record stop. This would not be that big of an issue if some DAWs didn't not let you edit or export. Well, they let you edit a lot of times. I'm talking about Ableton specifically. Ableton does not let me or anybody export a file that's longer than, I think, an hour, which, if your set's only an hour, not a huge deal. But for something like this, I need to export a 4-hour long audio file in WAV format, and Ableton just won't do it. So I had to find an alternative. And it dawned on me one day that something like a video editor actually will let you, export files as long as you want, because if you're exporting a full movie, that could be, 3 hours long. It could be 5 hours long. You never know. And so what I do is I figured out a way how to edit the audio files, clean them up, master them, so to speak. I don't really do a lot of editing to the audio itself. I just make sure the audio levels are good and even because, as you can imagine, the DJs are turning up the DJ mixer throughout the night. And so if you look back at these audio waveforms, which you can kind of see here, essentially part of it goes up, starts low, goes up, gets higher, dips down a little bit. Generally speaking, they get low to high as you go, or at least low to, a little bit higher for the second DJ. And then at about the third DJ, the headliner, they get nice and loud and they stay nice and loud. But this serves a problem because you don't want to just drive the whole thing through a limiter, because then your limiter is going to be squashing parts of the audio, and that's not going to sound all that great. So what I figured out that you can do is you can set key points in your audio clips here in Resolve and clean up these audio files so that everything sounds nice and not overly processed. You get a nice clean wave file at the end. What's even better is you can make all of these edits and then you can send them over to the Deliver tab, and you can do those one by one, and you can put them in what's called a rendering batch. And so then I can make all these edits, I can put them all in the rendering batch, and I hit render all, and I can walk away from my computer. It usually takes about, 30 minutes to 45 minutes. I have a very fast computer, and it still takes about 30 to 45 minutes to render all of that audio out. But it's nice that you can just hit render and walk away and come back, and boom, there's all your files to send to the DJs or whatever. Post them to your socials, whatever you want to do. Now this is cool because Davinci Resolve is a free program. There's two different tiers. There's the free version and then there's the studio version, but either one will work with this tutorial essentially. You might be an electronic musician, maybe you're just a DJ, maybe using a video editor is kind of scary for you, but I can assure you with the way that I show you how to do things here, it should be pretty straightforward. It's really not that tricky. And I'm going to show you this step by step throughout the whole thing. The unfortunate part is that all of these audio files are copyrighted because it's all copyrighted music. It's all music taken from Beatport for the most part, or SoundCloud or whatever. I can't actually play the music back for you. So you're just gonna have to trust me that that is what's playing back, and it's really awesome music from really awesome DJs. But it's important that I use this and not create some sort of mock-up, because if I created some sort of mock-up, I'm gonna need a bunch of copyright-free music, and then it's still not gonna look as natural or as real as this waveform here. So I'm gonna be able to hear it, but I'm gonna mute it on playback, and you can just follow along and imagine what you're hearing. It's unfortunate, but it is the way that it is. So anyway, let's flip over to Resolve, and I will show you exactly what I do to edit these. So when I take the audio files off of SD card from the recorder, I pop them into media bin, which I've got two different screens here, so I'm just gonna have to flip to the cut screen. But you can see those wave files. This one, I don't know why this one's not loaded, but there's 4 wave files here that are all of the splits that I made throughout the night. And then you flip back over to the edit tab and you just, I'll just drag and drop those in, and they line up just like this. Making the splits here on the recordings is very, very important, because if you forget to do one, you can go in and you can look and say, so this 1 means that, essentially you're at 0 point. It starts with a 1 over here, but this is 0 point of the recording. And then you can scroll and you can say, well, now this is 52 minutes. And now we're at about, boom, an hour. And that's when the second DJ should come on. And that works well enough, but it's better to watch when a DJ starts and stops, because then you don't have to guess. And if you're just going by the hour mark or the minute mark, there could be songs from the last DJ or the next DJ, and those aren't really a part of their set. So it's really important to watch and split that recording, and it just makes your life 10 times easier afterwards. What I'm gonna do here is, now that I have these splits, I basically just drag these. I gave myself a nice little break because, these are the different DJs. And so then what I'll do is I'll start here on the first recording, zoom in nice. I've got some key commands here set up on my keyboard so that I can zoom and scroll and stuff. They're custom, so you'll have to watch a video from someone else on how to do that, but highly recommended. So anyway, what I do is I generally just, we're not using any video, so I will get rid of this. You grab this little line here, you scroll up, and then, make your waveform nice and big by grabbing this line down here. We're not using any video, it's just audio, and so it's nice to have the bigger visual. So with this first audio clip, what you do is, you want to click and make sure you're on this audio clip. You can see it highlight in red. And then there's a little gray line here that you can see your cursor kind of changes to an up and down arrow. And what I like to do is I like to raise it, and you can see it gives you this nice decibel readout. Generally speaking, it's around, 8 decibels for our recorder anyway. And you'll notice that some of these little peaks go up and they hit the top of the clip, and don't worry about that. It's actually kind of a mismatch in the visual versus what the actual level is. You might think it's clipping, but it's actually still coming in, pretty moderately in the master channel. Okay, so now that we have those waveforms nice and loud, you can see that there's a mismatch from the beginning to this kind of middle and end part here. What I'll do is, just to start things off, I like to add just a little ramp in. There's a little corner white thing here, and you just fade that in, so you have a nice fade in for the beginning of your mix. And then you want to zoom over here. You change your locator, because the locator is gonna, wherever you zoom, that's where it's gonna zoom in on. Of course, you could trim things. You could grab the trim clip here thing and change it if you want it to maybe end right there, which is a nice ending point, and then add your fade. But because I know I split these all at the appropriate times, I'm just gonna add a nice little fade in there. So now we have our intro and our outro to that section, that mix. And then now we want to fix the audio discrepancy between the levels. And so if you go over here to your inspector, if it's not on, you click this little thing called inspector, and you've got your video properties, your audio properties, effects, and so forth. You've got lots of different ones here. You've got pan and volume. Those are really the only two that we're gonna focus on today. But you have these little diamonds here, which are for key points, key nodes, whatever you want to call them. What you want to do is, essentially, here at the beginning, I'm going to hit this button and I'm going to set a key point. You can see this little red thing popped in there. It's kind of hard to see, but it's there. And then you come over here, and maybe somewhere around here, you got to use your best judgment, but looks like right around here, this area, the volume kind of got turned up. And so I'm going to lean to the right side a little bit here, and I'm going to add another key point. And then here, where it's a little bit quieter, I'm going to add another key point. So now from there, what I can do is I can raise this key point. Oh, you want to scroll away from your marker there. And then just, raise the volume so that it's louder, kind of matching this. And actually, if we add another one here, let's add another one here. Looks like I got a little bit louder there. So then I'll be able to raise this key point, and I'm just kind of matching things. I want to just, none of it's precise, but once we add a limiter, to the end of it, it's all gonna sound pretty even. And you're just kind of trying to, you know, massage things in so that they are more or less, you know, even, so to speak. I'm gonna add another one here, add another one here. And, you know, you wanna add 2 if you're gonna make this, you know, volume adjustment, because if you see I grabbed this first one, now it's making everything get louder, and it's not letting me do the beginning of the audio file. So again, you just keep adding your key points on the volume, just so that it, you know, kind of, you're able to make things nice and loud. And believe me, I've listened back to these and you really can't tell that any changes are being made. It just sounds pretty natural. So there's another one. This one's got a lot of volume discrepancies. So more key points. Just kind of making sure everything's visually, you know, nice and loud from the beginning of the mix to the end. And so there you go. You can see with all of our little key points, we have now made, you know, that first mix sound nice and loud. And again, we've got our intro fade in, outro fade in, make that one a little bit longer maybe. And there you go, that's the first one. So of course I'm gonna hit save on this and then just go and do the second one. So again, with our intro fade in, I like to do the intro fade in a little bit quicker than the outro fade in. Outro fade in being a little bit longer just sounds kind of nicer. So again, we highlight our clip here, second clip, and look for the gray bar here and raise it up. And actually it looks like there was a little bit louder at the beginning versus the end. So we're just kind of gonna do the same thing, but a little bit in reverse. And so zoom in and let's add a key point here. And, oh, that one didn't take, okay. Key point there and a key point here. And I'm gonna raise this up a little bit. And then I'm gonna do one again here. And here. And again, you know, it doesn't have to be super precise. We're just kind of trying to make things even-ish. And again, it's weird that you would go for a visual even. In the end, it really does work out. See, it's already looking better there. This second half is still a little bit quieter. So go in and add another one here. And here. And we can raise that one up. Oh, come on, scroll away from it. There you go. All right, so now that's a little bit louder. And that actually looks pretty good. With this little dip here, you know, I could iron this out and make it louder, but I'm just gonna assume that, you know, because this section here is nice and loud and this section here is nice and loud, I'm just gonna guess that this section is just maybe a little bit of a quieter song. Not a huge deal. And again, we're gonna be pushing this through a limiter kind of moderately, just so that it sounds even all the way across. And again, you know, same thing for the headliners mix here. Oh, but you know, here now you can see we've got this section of time where the DJ faded out. You can see the little tail end there, but there's all this space. Generally, it takes me I'm doing a couple other things before I hit the record stop. So I'm just gonna bring that out to there. And you know, to be honest, we probably don't need that whole ring out. So you can bring it there and then do a nice fade out there and that'll be good. You don't need that whole thing. Now we've got our intro fade and our outro fade. And again, we grab the gray line here. And it's important to watch here. I'm gonna raise it by, I guess maybe what, 11, let's do 1236 decibels. And so now you're gonna wanna do the same thing on this one because now this one doesn't match. So bring that up to 1236, then it can get a little fiddly here. 1236, there it is. So now this one actually, the headliner really didn't make any changes overall. It looks pretty even. So for this one, I'm just gonna leave it. And we're gonna add our limiter on here and that should make things nice and even overall. So from there, go ahead and flip over to the Fairlight tab. And the Fairlight tab is your audio DAW, so to speak, in Davinci Resolve. If you click it, you know, maybe I should, let's take off the dual display, dual screen, just so everyone can see what I'm seeing in its entirety. Grab the little thing here so you can see your waveforms. And you know what's interesting about looking at it here in Fairlight is you can see that there's a discrepancy between the left and the right. And I'm gonna play some of this, and again, it's gonna be muted, so you're not gonna hear it. But you can see that this left channel is much louder than the right one. What you gotta do is you need to actually go back into the, well, actually, there's a couple ways you can do this. If you go over to Effects here, you go down to Tools and then Fairlight FX, which are your native ones. You got a lot of VSTs and stuff, but for this, you're just gonna go into Fairlight Effects and choose Stereo Fixer. This is a interesting plugin. It lets you just turn up the left or right channel independently of each other, which is actually pretty nice, very handy. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this back, and you can see if I turn the left down a little bit, again, you wanna keep your eye on the output here, not on the input, and then turn up the right. And again, you probably wanna use headphones for this and just listen, because as you're making these changes, you'll hear the stereo image go from too far to the left back to the middle, and that's where you want it. And so by doing it on this channel here with a plugin, now it's just gonna work across all these, and you don't have to go in and make those individual changes. So now that you've got those, what you're gonna wanna do is add a limiter. I use a VST one myself, but for this purpose, we're gonna assume that you don't have any VSTs. And so we use the one again here that's, let's bring that up again. It is in Dynamics. You click this little Effects plus here, and it's in Dynamics, Fairlight FX, and then Limiter. And you're gonna wanna just hit play. And what you do is you turn the threshold down. And by turning the threshold down, you're seeing the amount of reduction here that you're getting. And you can see the little visual here. It's essentially just taking off a little bit of the top there. So what it's doing is it's gonna make everything sound more even across all the different songs, but it's not taking off too much to make it sound bad. And this is up to you. You can add as much or a little as you want. If you wanna take it back a little bit so there's less, it might sound a little bit better, but ideally these plugins are so clean that you're not gonna really hear much of a difference. So there we go, we've got our limiter on there, and we're just gonna hit play again, and make sure, you can see over here, this is our master bus. Bus 1 is our master bus. And we're coming in at about -10 decibels. What we can do is you can actually turn up the input here. And so now we're right at just we're about 3 decibels under 0 dB, which you don't want to go past. But we've got a nice level limited sound here, and should be even across the board. So that -3 decibels is kind of perfect. So that's it, that's our audio processing. And from there, you just go back over to your edit tab. What you're going to do is you basically just scroll to your first DJ set. You hit I for in on your keyboard and O for out. And you can see now it's highlighted this first DJ mix. So now from there, you want to go over to deliver. So we've got that highlighted, we're on deliver. And then from there, what you want to do is, I have a preset for this, but for this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to do it manually. You want to scroll over here and you want to go audio only. What this does is it turns export video off. But this is very important. You want to go over to audio, and you're going to need to change this to, you have all these different functions. You want to go to wave. So now it's a PCM linear wave. And that is what you want, because that's going to be a true wave file. Studio quality, well, CD quality at least, but that's fine for us. From there, you want to go over here and you want to go to Browse, and you're going to want to select the folder that this is going to be going to. And from here, this is for the club I work at, which is Halcyon. And I've made, let's go date modified here. Now we go to No Mana, which is what this night was. From there, I just like to label things very clearly. So I'm going to go No Mana dash December 30th, 2022, which was just this last weekend. And then I do an underscore here, and I like to do opener. And from there, you just hit save. And now we've got that named, we've got it going to the right location. You go down here, add to render queue. And so now you can see that this first DJ set is added to the render queue on the right here in the deliver page. So from there, you go back to your edit page. You go like this. It'll snap to the beginning of your second DJ set. Go I, go O, and in and out, and back to the deliver page. And from there, you got your location already set, and we've already got the wave and linear PCM audio only set up. So from there, all you gotta do is just change, because of the way that we labeled this, just change it to direct support. And again, just go add to render queue, boom, now you got the second one there. Now we go back to edit page, I and O for in and out, back to deliver page, change this to headliner. You add that to your render queue. And then what you do is you just click and hold, highlight all these and hit render all. So from there, it's gonna do all of these in order. 1, 2, 3, you can see the little green percentage mark here is already started. And this will take about 45 minutes or something. You go back to your folder that we saved and all of those will be perfect waveforms that are nicely labeled, and you can upload those to Dropbox or WeTransfer or whatever, or Google Drive. It seems difficult, but once you get the hang of this and you've done it a number of times, it's actually really easy. And Davinci Resolve is an amazing, amazing tool. If you don't know how to use it and this is where you get started, that's great. But I would suggest, especially just for going forward, in 2022, it's actually just New Year's Eve last weekend, so it's 2023 now. You're gonna wanna know how to use a video editor. And this is a great way to get started. You can work on the video side of things later. There's plenty of video tutorials. I don't primarily do video tutorials for video. I do music production tutorials, but highly recommended. Couldn't recommend it enough. And it's just going to be helpful and good for you to know how to do for social media videos and that sort of thing. Don't be intimidated by it. There's a million tutorials on anything you could want to do on YouTube. So anyway, I'm not going to wait for all these to render out. We can just assume that they all finish. If this has been helpful, please give me a like and a subscribe. I have a mixing and mastering company called Dance Diamond Mastering. I'll do a little video thing here that you can see of my website scrolling, and the link is in the description below this video. And if you need mixing and mastering, if you're a music producer or know anybody who is, I do primarily electronic music and techno and house and that sort of thing for all of the biggest producers here in the Bay Area and San Francisco. Hit me up, I got fair prices and I would love to work on your stuff. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'm Scott Brio and I will see you all on the next one. Peace out.